Hello again, and welcome to a hot June day here in Louisiana. When I first started filming The Three Sisters, I decided to do it as a series rather than just one or two videos where I talked about what I was going to be doing. I felt like by doing it that way that I could show each step as I went through the garden and to show my successes as well as my failures. Sometimes we learn more from our failures than we do our successes, and I wanted to show that in all honesty as it happened. This past week though, I've had some particularly bad setbacks that I want to share with you today. That's why I've called this episode, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. All right, here's the first good thing. This is the same stalk that had the aphids and the ants all over it. I only sprayed it twice with the peppermint and soap, and as can be seen, it is, I would say, completely cured. Louisiana purples are ripe. I'm gonna do my first harvest of them yet. There's lots of them along here. I mentioned earlier that I chose Louisiana purples for one reason, because they stand out against this green that's in here, so you can see how easy they are to spot when walking down along here. So I'm going to get my first harvest today. Now, as well as this corn has been doing this whole year, I did have an episode where we had back-to-back very heavy rains followed by a windstorm. And when I came out to check on the corn after that windstorm, a lot of the corn had broken off, some of them way down close to the base. So out of this total Three Sisters bed, I ended up losing about 10 stalks of corn. And here's another one. I ended up cutting it off higher than where it broke over because there was a pole bean on it. And I ended up rerouting the pole bean to a neighboring stalk so that it would stay alive. And there are others as well. There's one that I cut off earlier. And I'm afraid my squash plant I've worked so hard on this year has finally given up. So I'm definitely going to harvest those two little squash on there. And I've had it mostly covered up at the base where I didn't think a squash vine borer could get to it. But my suspicion is that I've missed a squash vine borer. But I'm going to check that out now. So yeah, this thing just came right apart at the base. So it was the squash vine borer that got it. You can see where it was trying to reroot a little bit, but there just wasn't enough there. I'm gonna look in here and see if I can find the actual grub or caterpillar. And yes, there it is right there. So it got me, and it's about to become fish food. And as I kept looking, I found two more. So unfortunately, this plant had 3 squash vine borers. And then my zucchini that I was so proud had no pests has also succumbed to the squash vine borer. So here's the zucchini plant. This is a close-up of what it looks like after the squash vine borers have gotten into it. It gives this yellow discoloration where they've been feeding. And in this case, I found 2 in this plant, as opposed to 3 in the yellow squash. So more food for the fish. But despite these great losses, there is still good news. Fortunately, these are yellow squash that I had already planted. I've got 3 of them that are already growing. I just fertilized them yesterday and they are already starting to grow. So hopefully it won't be much longer till I'll still have some squash. Same thing with the zucchini. I have some young zucchini coming on as well.